Welcome back. Now, this week's plenary opened with a letter from President Muhammadu Buhari to the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Here's a report on how the letter was received.
Polity has been filled with different positions on the status of a 2016 appropriation bill that is before the National Assembly.
It will be recalled
on Tuesday, the Senate President opened plenary informing senators of a letter from the President on the matter. He then went on to read the letter.
On Tuesday, 22nd December 2015, I presented my 2016 budget proposals to the joint sitting of the National Assembly. I submitted a draft bill accompanied by a schedule of details. At the time of submission, we indicated that because the details had just been produced and will have had to check to ensure that there were no errors in the detailed breakdown contained in the schedule. That has since been completed, and I understand that the corrections have been submitted. The National Assembly will therefore have the details as submitted on the 22nd and a copy containing the corrections submitted last week. It appears that this has led to some confusion. In this regard, please find attached the corrected version. This is the version the National Assembly should work with as my 2016 budget estimates. The draft bill remains the same, and there are no changes in any of the figures.
The Senate has directed the Senate leader to distribute the budget with the alterations, and that debate on the budget is to begin on Wednesday, 20th January. But the letter received a stormy reception in the House. After Speaker Yakubu Dogara read the letter, a point of order was immediately raised by the minority leader.
Mr. President, in carrying out a constitutional responsibility, has laid a budget before the National Assembly. The issue of amendment, and I will want to state, is purely the responsibility of committees because there is a process in amending any bill. A scenario where a situation where an amendment is being proposed, sent to us, with the level of controversies that have followed, we will ask, Mr. Speaker, that we adopt due process. If there are proposals, when the ministers, who are the agents appointed by the President, comes to defend their budget, the budget itself clearly we know is not cast in stone. The power of appropriation is clearly spelled under the provision of Section 80 sub 4, which states that no funds shall be withdrawn from the consolidated account of the Federation except in the manner prescribed by the National Assembly. If that is the case, Mr. Speaker, to avoid unnecessary complicity, neither for our names not to be dragged into this mud, we have a bill before us, which we consider that have gone through first reading. It is our responsibility to subject that bill to legislative firework. Then when there are amendments that are being proposed, when they bring them to the committee level, we will be there to look at those amendments. The various committee chairmen will amend them, rather than for us to have two bills that we'll be treating at the same time. I therefore want to appeal that, much as you have read the letter, we should not abide by that provision clearly, because it will mutilate our issues and will be run into some level of controversy.
The Speaker then responded to the issues raised.
But nowhere in the President's letter is the word amendment included. The President talked about corrections. The President talked about corrections. I'm coming, please.
Order, please. Honorable members, order.
So on this note, I beg to say that your observations are noted and we will proceed.
Copies of the budget were then distributed to the lawmakers. Debate on the budget is to commence on Wednesday.
Well, with the matter of the letter and the status of the budget settled, the National Assembly commenced debate on the budget. Here's a report of how the debate progressed.
After weeks of back and forth over the status and whereabouts of the budget, lawmakers in the National Assembly are finally debating the 2016 budget. The total budgetary allocation for 2016 is 6.8 trillion naira, an increase of 1 trillion naira from the reversed allocation of 5.9 trillion naira for 2015. The present administration has described the 2016 budget as a budget of change, but some lawmakers from the opposition disagree.
A budget that moves domestic spending within Aso Villa from 580 million to 1.7 billion cannot be a budget of change. They are going to renovate the villa with 3.9 billion naira. What else do you want to renovate there that Nigerians will see in the year 2016?
We should tell ourselves the truth and draw up a budget that is realistic, that will be implementable. I suggest that this House, this Senate, together with the executive, should take a second look at this budget and peg the benchmark at a more realistic value of perhaps between $20 and $25.
Some lawmakers from the ruling party, however, have a more positive view of the 2016 budget.
The proposal before us is the first in the last 17 years that an allocation of 30% of the appropriation is given for capital.
The budget debate in the House of Representatives was less passionate. The majority leader kick-started the debate.
This budget is a peak and historical because it is perhaps the first really all-inclusive budget that seeks to carry all Nigerians along. The rich, the not so rich, the poor, the not so poor, and the vulnerable.
The budget debate continued on Thursday, January 21st. On the second day allotted for debate, lawmakers were more passionate.
I agree with the contention that this estimate before us is a budget of hope, a budget of economic revival, the hope of the masses, the hope of the people.
A lot of people looted the fund, and some people are looting the loot. Then what are we saying? All the leaders that are ruling Nigeria, they are saying they are recovering loot. Where are the loots? So if based on what we are hearing now, that over trillion money have been recovered, I think this budget too can be funded through that looting funds.
It is a litmus test for us in Nigeria that if this budget succeeds and it is fully implemented, then we can show the whole world that Nigeria can survive as a nation without depending on crude oil.
Where is the provision for the youth? You want to lay cable with 322 million to lay cable from the villa to the driver's room in Nigeria. This is monumental fraud.
In the Senate, the debate followed a similar pattern.
The capital expenditure has increased and the inflow has decreased. What it means, Mr. President, is that this budget has a serious deficiency. This budget is not the budget of change yet. I think they're still looking for how to bring in the required change.
Instead of funding Malams and Marabouts with 4 billion naira, this progressive government of the APC have decided to convert money meant for celestial and spiritual and diabolical activities into providing school uniforms and school free feeding for our sons and daughters.
The debate is set to continue on Tuesday, after which it is expected that the bill pass second reading and be referred to the relevant committees.